Hito was only charged with the crime of stealing bodies from the morgue and putting them to work at a corner store. I can continue my research wherever I happen to be. I only need to access a new lab and work remotely. For this, he received a 3-month sentence. After all, I've created Hachimaru a more intelligent model than Tentamaru. No prison guard could hope to contain a genius scientist of my caliber. Giving up is not my style, not when I've yet to create the ultimate android. Alright guys, this is insane. Even though Toyotaro is on vacation and the Dragon Ball Super manga is taking a small break, Toyotaro is still drawing for the Dragon Ball Super manga and potentially dropping leaks as to what the future of Dragon Ball Super is going to be and what the next arc is going to include. So if you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comment section below. But if you don't, stick around. I'm going to explain what he just dropped and the significance of it. And as always, huge shout out to my fans and supporters. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing. Hit that like button. You guys are the best. Let's jump in. West Capitol Police Headquarters. The Red Ribbon Army was a diabolical paramilitary group that sought world domination. The world believed that the organization fizzled out about 30 years ago, about the death of its first leader, Commander Red Ribbon. However, we know now that the commander's son, Magenta Ribbon, has been rebuilding the army. Isn't Magenta the president of Red Pharmaceuticals? Yes, that's the public face of the operation, which likely provides funding for the army. They want the incarcerated Dr. Hiro the key to this revival effort. Who is he exactly? Care to explain, Officer Krillin? Will do, ma'am. Hito, who holds both a PhD and an MD, is the grandson of Dr. Gero, a scientist who once worked with the Red Ribbon Army. Hito's father was Gero's second son, but when Hito was only a child, both his parents died in an accident. The boy lived off his inheritance and proved to be a prodigy, earning his PhD at the age of 14. However, he couldn't quite cut it in any labs or research organizations due to his quirky personality, so he used what was left of his inheritance to continue his research on his own. So why is the Red Ribbon Army so keen on bringing Hito into the fold? Hito inherited data on a bioorganic weapon from his grandfather. The whole world will be in trouble if this weapon ever sees the light of day. Isn't that right, officer? Yup. We have to put a stop to this plot, and Hito's already admitted that he's memorized the data for his weapon. Hito has only 3 months in prison. Make no mistake, the Red Ribbon Army will contact him the moment he's released. That's our chance to locate their base of operations and foil their ambitions, a chance we can't pass up. This scene tells you everything you need to know about what is to come and what is not finished from the superhero arc. First of all, look at this right here. This is exactly the same layout, missing the extra family members that we got in the superhero movie, where we found out that Gero has a wife and her name is Vami. She is obviously Android 21, so we finally know the name of Android 21. Android 21 is the main antagonist to the Dragon Ball FighterZ games, and in that video game she is created as an android by the late Dr. Gero, and then is able to essentially fuse or absorb any DNA that she comes into contact with. Similar to Cell, but like on a much easier to digest level. And that's what ends up happening, that she gets some Abu's DNA and then transforms her into this, and then she starts losing herself and breaking her personality a little bit. That's essentially the story, just in the gist of it. But she is a character, one of the last characters that is designed directly by Akira Toriyama. The FighterZ team came to Akira Toriyama and asked him to help them design a villain that's flashy, and he designed her. designed the original version of her, and then they wanted to add a transformation, and then so they worked through that through his supervision, but the original design is hers. So this is a character that Akira Toriyama was one of the last characters that he made, and so it's a very special character. Any character that is created recently, or any character created at all, is definitely something that we hold dear from Akira Toriyama, but the recent ones, those are the most intriguing because that's after years of creating characters, and he still comes up with like really good designs like this one right here. But why am I talking about Vami? Well, I'm talking about Vami because of what Toyotaro just drew just for the Dragon Ball Super, the end of the Dragon Ball Super Hero arc, and that is this artwork right here. This is what you would think is Android 16, but Android 16 was actually modeled after Jiro's son. This guy, his name is Jivo. He is Dr. Jiro's firstborn son, and then Dr. Jiro had another son who ended up passing away mysteriously through an accident, which is a whole other can of worms to go into. But Dr. Jiro had Jivo, who ended up dying in combat in the Red Ribbon Army, and that's why Dr. Jiro created Android 16 to honor his son. First of all, the artwork itself is phenomenal. I absolutely love the details in this, the way that the clothes wrinkle up. I really do feel like Toyotaro does his best work when it's like a one-off like this. But if you know Toyotaro, he just doesn't just draw these things with no connection to anything. They usually have a connection. Every single drawing that he's drawn in the past has a connection to some news or something that's going on or something that's about to happen or something that's happening in the manga. Usually it's in addition to, but this one, the only addition that this one could possibly be is that the superhero arc took place with the Red Ribbon Army and he was part of it. So that's kind of what, you know, you could get from that as well. But you could also get something else, and that is why I gave you guys that scene from the manga, because that scene from the manga, both those scenes actually, where they're explaining the Red Ribbon Army, which was an organization that was essentially bent on getting the Dragon Balls to wish for world dominance because they were the competing faction against the world government, and then Goku ends up destroying them and basically freeing the planet from tyranny. They are very much a huge player in Dragon Ball right now, and still they have that whole facility, they have everything still going on, even though Carmine's going back to pharmaceuticals, like they are still big players. But more importantly, what Dr. Hito says, where he is going to create the ultimate android, and you could say, I thought the Gammas were his ultimate android. Well, he only has one of them now, and so it wasn't an ultimate android because it died and it relied on guns for beam attacks. It just had a lot of flaws, even though it was Super Saiyan Blue level essentially. But the Gammas, even though they were powerful, they still had a lot of issues with them. You could say it was Cell Max, but he hated Cell Max. He didn't like Cell Max. He didn't want to create Cell Max. It didn't look like a superhero. It looked like a monster, and he still needed to be completed and fully finished, and he wasn't. So that android's not finished. Dr. Hito has never finished his ultimate android, and he says it right here that he does not give up. Even if he is defeated like he was at the end of the superhero arc, he does not give up. Now you could say, well, he's going with Bulma to turn over a new leaf. Well, he could be doing that, but at the same time, he is going to go to another facility that has huge amounts of scientific equipment and very extreme scientific minds, to the point where they've mastered to an extent time travel. So like he is going into a better situation to possibly create the ultimate android. So what am I saying? I'm saying that Toyotaro and Toriyama, I think, have prepped the stage to bring Android 21 into the Dragon Ball Super canon just by making her canon. She is already canon. She was Dr. Jiro's wife. And in the FighterZ game, Dr. Jiro actually creates his wife, makes his wife into an android. That's what he does. She is essentially kind of like the first android before himself. So I think this thirst to create the ultimate android from Dr. Hito, the fact that Vami is also part of the story basically because she is canon now, and Toyotaro made sure to put her in there with the exact same design from FighterZ, which we've never seen a villain from a video game be put into the manga as canon like this. And at the same time, now Toyotaro's drawing Android 16, or I mean what Android 16 was based off, which was Dr. Jiro's son, Jivo. I think that the pieces are fitting into place for some sort of Android 21 arc, the ultimate android. And I already see you rolling your eyes because a lot of you guys do not want to go back to Red Ribbon stuff. You guys don't want to go back to Android stuff. You want to do stuff with the gods and Frieza and all that stuff. But hear me out. Dr. Hito created Super Saiyan Blue level androids, and he made a bio android that was stronger than Cell, what his grandfather could make, possibly as strong as Broly, if not stronger when completed. Like, this is extreme, because it seems like Earth has a level of scientific or scientists that no other world in Universe 7 has, because no other world in Universe 7, especially the ones that Frieza has controlled, could create androids the level of Super Saiyan Blue. Like, imagine if Frieza could just create an android that was the level of himself. Wouldn't that be something? Nobody else has done that, and to be honest, in all the other universes, it doesn't seem like anybody really has those capabilities either to make that level of android. The Gammas are special. Now, if the Gammas are biological or not, it's 100% unclear, but we do know that Cell Max was, and he was yet to be completed, and so with being a biological android, being the ultimate form of being an android, I would imagine that Dr. Hito, working under Bulma, maybe would want to make more androids, and a future android arc where we make more androids, more powerful androids, and Earth becomes kind of like this hub for androids, including Android 21. I think this would be such a great storyline to go down, where we finally talk about androids, Android 17 and 18, how powerful they are. 17 is as strong as a Super Saiyan Blue, if not stronger. Like this is a serious focus of topic, and I think it deserves as much attention as Frieza at this point, because there are a lot of questions that I have here for why Earth can create, like, I would say galactic level androids essentially, or like, Omega level threat androids. Like, why could they be the only ones to do it and nobody else can? So Toyotaro could be hinting here, he couldn't be not, but I think it's interesting in this artwork. I feel like it speaks a lot to the future of what we're going to see in Dragon Ball.
Subscribe for more content. Or perish.